PIMS Incorporated, fueling brand performance for 30 years, Prince Associates for all your insurance needs, and Soho Table Hockey. Here are your hosts, Mark and AJ.
And good Sunday morning to you. I'm going to have to get used to saying that. Interestingly enough, it is not only Sports Talk New York, it's a combined Sports Talk New York and BT Talks Super Bowl Sunday edition of the show. We will be moving to this time slot for good next Sunday. If you are watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live or on the Sports Talk New York website, you see that we are live in studio with Brett Topel. And wait, there's an AJ sighting.
Well, I have to tell you, though, I woke up, I saw my shadow this morning. I mean, 6 more weeks of Florida. After today, it's back.
Mark, I woke up and I saw AJ's shadow and I just got terrified.
Me too.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I'm like, I got enough problems.
Well, it is time now for the Major League Baseball Report with John Coppinger. It's sponsored by our friends at Cardboard Memories. Cardboard Memories is one of the most reputable sports memorabilia retail stores for 29 years. The owner of Cardboard Memories, Scott Stamell, is known for his knowledge and savvy of authentic autographs, and he's been featured on HBO's Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Cardboard Memories possesses the honesty, integrity one would want and need from a memorabilia source. Cardboard Memories is always buying collections large and small. Let Cardboard Memories run your next charity fundraising auction. Call them to find out how they can help your organization at no cost. Cardboard Memories is located at 6401 Jericho Turnpike, Comac, New York. Visit them on the web at cardboardmemories.com or follow them on Facebook or Instagram. All right, John, before we get to your Super Bowl predictions, there is some baseball to talk about. So let's talk about first, the collective bargaining agreement, the talks. Manfred addressed the media on Friday or Thursday afternoon, said that Saturday looked to be a big breakthrough. They were offering a counter proposal. One of the statements he made, sometimes it just takes a little give from one side to open up the talks. Doesn't look like that little give is enough to open up the talks from what you're hearing from the player side. What's your take on what happened?
It's I don't think either side is giving enough. I think the commissioner overestimated the impact that his gives would have, that the owner's gives would have, and the players were not impressed. I don't see how he thinks that these offers were going to spark anything. History is going to prove very bad for him. He instituted the lockout to quote jumpstart talks, and it just really hasn't happened. They've had a stalemate now, and who knows where they go from here? But it doesn't look good.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing that happened this past week that concerned me, and I don't want to take the owner's side. I understand both sides of this, but I think the players lost it when the Secretary of Labor offered to step in and help mediate the talks. You're talking about the Secretary of Labor in an administration that is incredibly labor-friendly, not owner. It was the last administration. I could see the players resisting a business-friendly, Secretary of Labor. And when they said no, what's going on? Who's advising them is my question. What are they doing? Do they really not care? Do they really not want to start? Look, it's going to come April 1st with no games. They don't get paid. Is that what it's going to take for them to really sit down and start talking?
Well, I have a different take on that. I think that when you're talking about the mediation, that they requested the mediation after a grand total of one offer by the players. And, one of the reasons Rob Manfred was commissioner supposedly was because he was a great negotiator, and it just didn't seem like he wanted to negotiate if he was only going to take one counteroffer. Now, the issue at hand with that, I believe, from what I hear, was the arbitration pool. The owners, the players wanted the pool to be about $100 million. The owners offered 10. So what a federal mediator would have done is probably split the difference and offer 50, which I think the players think is way too low. So I think that had something to do with why they rejected mediation.
Hey, Cop, do you think it's amazing that over all these work stoppages, lockouts, strikes over the years, you would think that the players would realize that they should just keep their mouths shut at this point. Nobody wants to hear Max Scherzer or Lindor or anybody, talking about anything related to this. But it seems like they can't help themselves.
Well, it's a different world now. Remember the last time we did have a work stoppage that cost games and cost spring training, there was no social media. So I think that what the players are doing is that they're getting their message out there and trying to garner favor on their side. And I think for the first time, because listen, fans historically take the owner's side in this because of just what you said. The players aren't going to get paid. They should just shut up and realize that they're playing a kid's game. It's billionaires versus millionaires. Why don't the players just acquiesce? I think the fact that they're getting their side out there is turning the tide a little bit and trying to get curry favor for them. Now, Manfred's trying to do the same thing, except no owner is tweeting about this. They're doing it with press conferences. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting to see where that tide turns, where the overall favor goes from the fans. I think that by and large they're sick of it. They just want to see a deal done. But it's interesting that this is the first negotiation that has the social media attached to it.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I mean, one of the networks that really cover it in depth is the Major League Baseball Network on XM Radio, and they brought out so many great points. I mean, one of the things that is probably the biggest sticking point at this point is the luxury tax. And, Manfred and the owners believe that if there are, steep penalties, they think that, that by putting a cap, it is holding down salaries, and it's not. I mean, you take a look at the salaries that are being paid. They feel that the revenue share as well. They want to curtail some of that. They think it will really change the imbalance of strength in Major League Baseball. That's the players' point of view. And it was interesting because they went back and cited, I believe it was a 1996 free agent class, which had Barry Bonds in it. And Bonds at that point, I believe, got like a 6-year, $42 million contract. So, you know what? The players.
That's 25 years. Things have changed a lot in 25 years.
In the players' field.
Well, Scherzer's making that in 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
To follow up on Britt and John's point, though, I got to wonder, where is Tony Clark? And what is going on? You don't see press conferences. Is this, social media blitz orchestrated by the union, or is it happening despite the union? Where is the union presenting a unified front from the players and saying, here's our message and here we're getting it? I think they're doing a bad job of it.
I also think, and I'll just, as the last one we can move on, is that this was always considered the strongest union of all unions under Donald Fear and those type of, and it's not that union anymore. Tony Clark is not Donald Fear. And, it's just.
He's not Michael Weiner either.
No, exactly.
And it's trusted.
To your point, Cop, it's a different time. It's a different type of lockout. And I think that at this point, listen, as a baseball fan, I couldn't care less about any of this. Just play the games.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. In years past, and I understand it's a different type of time in the calendar, but in years past, when there was a strike or a lockout, you would see coverage of this every day. You would see camera crews getting players and owners walking in, walking out. Now, you don't really see that, and that's got to worry the players and the owners because there's almost a bit of apathy in now because there's other things to do. There's other sports to watch. There's other media to consume. That should worry.
Well,
that should worry Major League
tomorrow
Baseball.
after the Super Bowl.
Well, you're going to have that little 2 days. You're going to have a 2-day, coattails of the Super Bowl.
Right. After that, there's nothing else until March
Wednesday,
Madness.
the focus is going to be on them, and on top of it, the fans are going to start getting. There's a lot of people in this country that have suffered tremendously during COVID. That there'll be a tremendous backlash if they don't start this season on time.
Right.
We say that every single time.
Especially after 2020 when they had a 2-month season when they could have had a full season.
Right. All right, before we let you go, John, it's time for your Super Bowl prediction. What do you got?
All right, so going by the championship games, I saw, because you've got talent on both sides, but I saw one coaching staff that made adjustments to win that game, and I saw one coaching staff that almost gave away the game. I trust the Bengals coaching staff more than I trust the Rams coaching staff, so I'm going with Cincinnati 27-26.
All right.
Write that down, AJ. 27-26.
Cop 27-26 Cincinnati. We're going to reveal our picks later. I hope I didn't give it away by my facial expression for those who are watching on Facebook or YouTube Live. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll speak to Russ Cohn, so keep it tuned right here.
Do you own a business? When is the last time you actually had a visit from or even spoke with your insurance representative? Did your current insurance agency sell to another firm or maybe merge, leaving you without the attention you deserve? Prince Associates is a provider of commercial insurance nationwide and represents some of the finest insurance carriers in the industry. Prince Associates has been representing commercial clients since 1965, and we continue to grow and offer our personal services in a competitive and ever-changing market. If you want back the insurance relationship you deserve, reach out to us. 516-822-6550. That's area code 516-822-6550. And ask for Leith or Craig, or find us on the web at www.princeins.com.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York / BT Talks, the equivalent of the Green Hornet and Batman crossover, or maybe Law and Order SVU and Law and Order Organized Crime.
I'm kind of also, if you think about it, I'm a little bit of like a Laverne and Shirley to your Happy Days, because I did kind of spin off the idea of Sports Talk New York.
See, I kind of see you more like a Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley.
You know, I was going to say Mork and Mindy. I see myself more as a Mork, and we better get to Russ.
As long as it's not, you know.
No, I see AJ as
Orson. He's Orson.
He's Orson. He's Orson. He's definitely Orson. All right.
It's time now for the NHL report. If Russ hasn't hung up with us, with Russ Jones, sponsored by our friends over at Soho Table Hockey.
What's table hockey?
Oh,
no, Orson, we're supposed to be 1, 2, 3. What's table hockey?
You guys have no Crosby, Stills in that. That's
terrible.
For sure. Some of us might have grown up with rod hockey or bubble hockey, or even lived in a cave with the cavemen like AJ.
Or knock hockey. There's knock hockey, Mark.
Soho Table Hockey is embracing the nostalgia of those old tabletop games, designed a whole new board for the future, handcrafted with designer wood, state-of-the-art playing service, unbendable rods, energy-absorbing walls. This is a table hockey game that players age 8 to 80 can enjoy. Even better, the exceptional quality and design allows the game to stand up to the intensity of tournaments, which is why Soho Table Hockey is the #1 choice of championship players throughout North America. Visit SohoTableHockey.com to learn more. Start your order on a custom game. You can choose your wood, a centerized logo, and even the team matchups. Go ahead, drop the puck. You'll love Soho Table Hockey so much you won't be able to stop playing. All right, so the first thing I want to do with you, Russ, is talk a little bit about the All-Star game. It's interesting. You know, no Sidney Crosby, no Ovechkin, lots of young players. You know, I'm kind of wondering, you know, years ago the debate would be who was the face of hockey. Is it Crosby? Is it Ovechkin? Is it even Henrik Lundqvist? Is it PK Subban? I don't know if there's that debate. I guess it's Connor McDavid, and then, you know, a whole bunch of young kids like Zegras and Hughes, and, you know, hockey is really, really turning, you know, into a very young man's game. And I think the faces change from month to month. Who would you say right now is, you know, who do you think the NHL wants to be the face of NHL hockey?
I think it's Connor McDavid, but I think in the U.S. it's Trevor Zegras for the moment. And I think, you know, the All-Star game helped with that. And I think just, again, a lot of casual fans watching videos, seeing the skill that Zegras has. So, and it's not like Zegras is the best player, but he has a ton of skill, and that's what they've put on to. But it's Connor McDavid.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And even just some of the things that Zegras gets dressed up in the dodgeball uniform, puts a blindfold on, and actually scores a goal blindfolded. Pretty wild stuff. You know, even the whole weekend, from the entertainment to the skills competition, definitely skewed a lot younger. Even asked Gary Bettman a little bit about that. What did you think of the overall presentation? Because I was wondering how it played on television. Being there, you know, in the arena is different. I was just wondering how it played on television.
I mean, skills is better than the game. I think we know that. It draws better. I don't know why skills wasn't on ABC and the other on ESPN, but I guess ESPN got what they wanted. They got the best one. I felt like it went mostly well, but I do feel like when they were shooting into the fountains, the players were really frustrated having to hit those pucks to light them up. Like, couldn't they just hit them ahead of time and just let them shoot lit up pucks? Like, it's just, there had to be a better way with that. But otherwise, I think it was good. I think it's fun to try new things. I think ultimately the fastest skater, hardest shot are still the best. And then the breakaway at least was fun. So I think mostly that was good. As far as the game, like, I don't want to take away from Claude Giroux or anything, but, you know, those first couple of games, goalies were barely bending. And until the money was on the line. So, you know, it's hard to watch.
So let me ask you a non-NHL question, Russ. You've been watching the Olympics. My question is, how do you view the quality of the games, you know, without the NHL players?
It's AHL caliber, and I don't know if they win a Calder Cup. That's the reality. Because while we have some really great young talent that could be superstars in the future, they're passing off the guys that are like 35 years old and can't be in the NHL. So it's like, Stephen Cantor shouldn't be a top-line power play guy on any team on earth, but he is for this team. And so it's hard to get really excited about it.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. So I'm watching the first game, China versus U.S., and you see Ryan Sproul and you see Ethan Werrick, former New York Rangers. You see Josh Hosang the other night on Canada. You see one of the Stalls. A lot of familiar. If you are an NHL fan, you know a lot of these players. And at first you don't when they're playing China because they have different names. Like Ethan Werrick I forgot what his name.
Well, the thing is, he's playing for China as a Canadian Jewish hockey player whose, I guess, grandparents or great-grandparents settled in China after World War I. Amazing story. I'm actually looking forward to speaking to Ethan on my show coming up in the next couple of weeks. But his name is, oh my God,
something
they naturalized them all like in 15 minutes. That's what they did.
Yeah, it's very funny. All right, quickly, Tuukka Rask retiring. Kind of sad. He gave it a shot, and when you hear that, it's kind of upsetting when a guy comes back and tries to give it a go and just physically can't anymore.
Yeah, it stinks. I mean, you saw it happen with Tim Thomas. I mean, it happens. And when the hips go on the goalie, that's it. Sometimes there's no coming back from that. No matter how good surgery is, no matter how good, medical procedures are, it's a taxing position. So even a quarterback, I think it's easier to come back from injuries now than a goalie.
Another goalie that might come back this season might help a brand new coach in the NHL in Montreal, and that's Carey Price. And their new coach is Marty St. Louis, a guy who's not had any NHL experience as a coach. But the same could have been said about Rob Brind'Amour. He did have some assistant work with Brind'Amour. But what's your thoughts on Marty as a head coach and in Montreal?
I mean, look, Marty's going to help Cole Caulfield, and he scored 2 goals in 2 games. And so that just shows you how screwed up things were in Montreal. But as far as winning games, I've got the over-under at like 7 more the rest of the year. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference. I think there's guys that are UFAs that are going to just, maybe try a little harder, but they're eventually going to tune them out too. I think there'll be some players that develop because of them, but I just think it's an impossible job.
And do you think he comes back with the no longer interim?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. All right. Before we let you go, it's now time for your NFL pick. So who are you taking, Russ?
I'm taking the Rams. I think the pass rush is too much. I'm going to go 20-13.
22-13 Rams. So far we have a split between baseball and hockey. But we appreciate it, Russ. We'll speak to you next week.
Okay, see you guys.
You got it. Russ Cohen here each and every week with the NHL Report, and he will be with us as we start our new time at 11 a.m.
11 p.m. AJ is not up at 11 p.m.
Oh, I'm up much earlier than you guys.
I said no. I said you're not up at 11 p.m.
11 p.m. No. Actually, I am.
Okay.
Yes, that's bathroom break number 17.
No.
Walking to the bathroom does not count.
It's waiting for the Perry Mason rerun to start on MeTV.
I thought he was going to say waiting for the paramedics to show up.
Oh, wow.
All right, we better go. Come on.
Perry Masons happen to be good. They're also on at 9 a.m. in the morning. So that's right after Leave It to Beaver.
It could be 9. It could be the ones he's watching.
I have to watch it at night after Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, God. Well,
right,
you lost me on Hogan's Heroes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Who do we got on the other side of this?
Chaim.
I'm Talbot. So keep it tuned right here to Sports Talk New York /BT Talks.
The Phoenix Tube Company Incorporated is among the country's leading manufacturers of structural ornamental stainless steel tubing, rectangles, squares, and processed flat bars. The company takes pride in its everyday commitment to quality and customer service. The philosophy of the company has been and continues to be to support the growth of the stainless tube market through distribution and service centers throughout the country. Ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing is used for a wide variety of aesthetic and mechanical products where superior finish and corrosion resistance are required. Some products manufactured include tubing for mirror bracket arms, boat rails and ladders, washroom grab bars, swimming pool rail products, medical equipment, automotive step bars and trimming, as well as structural framing for food processing equipment. For a quote or for more information on how the Phoenix Tube Company can meet your ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing needs, visit them on the web at phoenixtube.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-526-2124.
915 Construction and Design and Handyman Express have been serving Long Islanders for decades and are dedicated to providing customers with the highest quality work and overall customer service. From planning your job to making the final touch-ups, you'll experience the gold standard of home repairs and renovations. No matter how big or small your project may be, their talented and experienced contractors and handymen are prepared to take on the job. Whether you need to have them hang a picture frame, fix a faucet, or completely renovate your bathroom or kitchen, by calling 915 Construction and Design and Handyman Express, you can trust that your home or business is in good hands. Reach out today at 915cd.com or call 516-924-2400. 915 Construction and Design, home to Handyman Express.
Sail away.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York. And long-time listeners of Sports Talk New York are saying, wow, they have a new sponsor. No, it's because today is a special edition.
That's right.
Sports Talk New York /BT Talks. And that was a great Handyman Express commercial. I love listening to that commercial every time. Great voiceover, by the way, on that one.
Well, listen, I don't know who that voiceover is, but he's available and he's taking jobs right now.
And I'll have to tell you, you talked about spin-off shows and what fits with Brett. I view myself as Lou Grant from the Maritime North spin-off into Rhoda.
Wait, so am I Lou Grant or am I Rhoda?
No, I'm Lou Grant.
He was about to say he was Rhoda.
I was Rhoda once. It was college. I'd rather not talk about it.
I think AJ should be, because he mentioned Hogan's Heroes, but don't forget, then there was she was in the Hogan family or whatever it was.
Well, let's also be very honest. Of the three of us, the only one who had the chance of dating anybody named Rhoda was AJ. That's not your wife's name, is it? Is that your wife's name?
No.
Okay.
It's time now, thank God, for the NBA report with Ryan Talbot. Heard here each and every.
What were you doing with her then, AJ?
Names come back. I have to tell you that.
I know.
Sorry, let's focus here. All right, so Kyan, this is very interesting because, I guess probably about 10, 12 weeks ago with the whole Kyrie mess, we were talking the 76ers had a mess with one of their players. Could it possibly be a trade for Kyrie? Now, our headache for Philly's, headache in Simmons. All of a sudden, that became,
Well, because James Harden became a bigger headache.
Harden.
That's what
happened.
happened.
I mean, what was the thing that precipitated a trade of James Harden, who last year in the playoffs really gutted it out, to this year him being what now people are saying he became gutless?
No, he became James Harden.
Well, I mean, it's exactly what AJ said. James Harden became the bigger of the two headaches. James Harden wanted out, and James Harden pulled essentially the same thing he pulled in Houston, where he has a debilitating hamstring injury that I'm sure is cleared up as soon as he gets traded. And by the way, Ben Simmons' mental health issues will, again, I'm sure, be taken care of pretty much a week or so after he, puts on the Nets jersey as well. But James Harden wanted out. He didn't want to come out and say he wanted out. He didn't want to demand trade me because that would have been bad PR. But there was nobody who was fooled by this, and it was actually kind of a running unsaid joke during the all-star lineup draft thing that Durant and LeBron James were doing, where he was basically begging Kevin Durant, hey, take James Harden, I dare you, buddy. And it was a running joke. James Harden is fine. James Harden wanted no part of what the Nets were doing. And after a 2-year experiment that lasted all of about 30 games together, thereabouts.
16, Klein.
16 games. I'm sorry. It was about 30 minutes they played together this season. So the big three turned into 1.5, or 1.5 plus Ben Simmons, whatever you want to count that for.
Well, Durant got hurt.
It's a half because Kyrie Irving's only playing that half the schedule.
Right. Yeah.
And right now, Kevin Durant has to shoulder the load all by himself on offense.
You take a look last year, if you remember, I was not a fan of the Harden trade for this very reason. I thought when push came to shove in the long run, he's not a team player. The fact that he did this to get his way out of town, my feeling is good riddance. However, take a look at what's going on, and with Simmons is not back yet, not started, whatever. Both teams, the Nets, the Knicks, they're both messes. They're hot messes right now. Which one is in worse shape? Look, you hope that the Nets will straighten out once Kevin Durant comes back. But, which team is in worse shape right now going forward? Which team, I wouldn't say is going to miss the playoffs, which team has a chance of making the playoffs as we head into
if we're talking about this season, bigger mess is the Knicks. I think the Knicks might be lottery bound this season. The Nets are, in all likelihood, once they heal up a little bit, they will make the playoffs. They're just too talented not to. And honestly, once they're in the playoffs, this might be some kind of a backwards dream situation for the Nets where if they sneak in a lower seed and they end up having to cede home court advantage for the playoffs, they get more Kyrie Irving than they would have otherwise. This might be something of a blessing for the Nets. They will be fine. They're just too talented not to. Assuming they can get Kevin Durant back on the court, he will win them games all by himself. The Knicks don't have that guy. The Knicks have a system that seems to have suddenly broken. They have a star player who they gave money to who doesn't want to embrace the star player role anymore. They have young guys who can't crack the lineup. They have a coach who has a history of that, and players that are probably going to get disgruntled. For right now, the Knicks are in worse shape. The Nets are, I still think, despite what the record says, a lock to make the playoffs just based on talent alone.
You take a look at the Knicks, and they said they did nothing at the deadline. They said, well, we made our deal 2 weeks ago, and that was the Cam Reddish deal. And they're not playing Cam Reddish. So if this is the big deal they're talking about, why is it taking so long for Thibodeau to work him into the lineup? We talked about this when the deal was made.
Yeah. So when we made that deal, I had been on record as saying this can't be the only deal the Knicks make. They have to turn around and get something for Derrick Rose. They have to see what they can get for Alec Burks. They have to trade some veterans to open up some minutes for these guys, and then this trade can make sense. Cam Reddish is not a Tom Thibodeau system guy. If you're looking for offense, if you're looking for youth and potential, then run it. Quickly needs to get his minutes. Toppin has to get his minutes. Get Deuce McBride, get these guys their minutes, and let Cam Reddish play. But otherwise, trading a first-round draft pick for a guy who's not going to crack your coach's rotation, and you're not opening up the space to do so, doesn't make any sense. So, if the trade wasn't there, to an extent, I appreciate Leon Rose not pulling the trigger on a trade just to pull the trigger. But his first move doesn't make sense without a supplemental one, and they weren't able to get one done. So the Cam Reddish trade right now would get a grade of like a D from me.
Hey, Kai, I'm just switching gears real quick. I had the opportunity to be out in Salt Lake City this week, and I went to the Jazz Golden State Warriors game. And it's really amazing when you see, I've been to a million Knick games in my life, but, that West Coast basketball, Western Conference basketball, when it's two good teams and they're flying up and down, really a different game.
Oh, completely. It's a track meet, and even the track meets look different over the last, I guess since Golden State came into power. It's a track meet where everybody's finding the three-point line, and somehow everything falls. Defense. And these are pretty good defensive teams too. The Jazz are a defense-first team. Golden State, Andrew Wiggins is their all-star starter. Without getting into too much into that, he's a defensive stalwart. They have defensive players on both sides. They would be top defensive teams in the East, but yeah, it's a track meet when these guys go, and everybody can light it up, and everybody can score, and it's a totally different sport to watch. I'm totally with you, and the West Coast basketball is fun now. It just is.
Well, West Coast basketball has always been fun. East Coast, though, is considered the stronger conference this year. But let's go back to our local teams for a second. We talked about Thibodeau and problems, and he's reverting to form, if you want to say. And we have Steve Nash, who doesn't seem to be able to do anything to stem what is now an 11-game losing streak. Do they both last out the season? Do they last into next season? The question is, when do people start saying, well, this is Tibbs being Tibbs? I think he's stronger, but how much peril is Steve Nash in at the Nets if they don't turn it around?
Well, right now, I don't think Steve Nash is in any trouble. Steve Nash is there as long as Kevin Durant is there. He was there as, he had his guys. His guys wanted Steve Nash. So as long as his guys there, and the big horse there is Kevin Durant, always was. So as long as he likes him, Steve Nash isn't going anywhere. As far as the next deal with Thibodeau, it's weird because there's always a Thibodeau burnout, whether it be Chicago, where, again, injuries kind of sapped that dynasty is too strong of a word, but sapped that team of its power before it really came to fruition. Well, anywhere Thibodeau's gone, really, they have a couple of years where players play above, I guess they play above their basketball card, would say. And then they kind of come crashing down. They get burnt out. They can't play that kind of pressure defense, or they can't play 45 minutes a night for 4 seasons. And that usually happens around season 3 of the Thibodeau project. The Knicks are in there around season 3 or 4. The Knicks are there 1 season after having any modicum of success. And I'm not sure how much of that is Tom Thibodeau. I think to a large degree they built a roster around a superstar that's not a superstar and who's reverted to the means. I don't think Tom Thibodeau's in trouble. I think he's bought himself some equity with the quick turnaround. I just think the Knicks kind of bought fool's gold last season. We're like, oh, yeah, we fixed it. The franchise is saved, and they are not.
Well, it's not fool's gold. They made some moves in the offseason that, you're right, the pieces don't fit.
Right. And that's the concerning part here is I don't know how much of this is Tom Thibodeau. Is there any – are they synchronized in the front office? Is there any conversation between the GM and the head coach, because Evan Fournier is not a Tom Thibodeau guy. Kemba Walker, they got themselves a high-priced free agent who was never going to make Tom Thibodeau's lineup. And this Cam Reddish trade, this kid's not going to crack the rotation unless they make some moves, which they haven't. So I'm nervous from from a consistency standpoint, from a synchronization standpoint between the front office and the head coach. And that doesn't bode well for Tom Thibodeau in the long run if they have different visions. But for right now, I think he has bought himself some equity with the success both on his resume and last season. And I think Knicks fans are still, there was relevant basketball in the Garden. We'll buy him a couple of years, kind of the same way Mike Woodson will forever, Mike Woodson won't have to buy a drink in the city for a long time because there was one relevant season in the last 30 years. And David Lee will forever be an all-star New York Knicks fans' hearts because he was, I guess, that one glimmer of hope or that one star, for lack of a better term, during the abysmal years. Tom Thibodeau got themselves a playoff season. So I think he's got a little bit more leash, unless he and Leon Rose are just not on the same page, in which case that's going to be an executive decision.
All right, before we let you go, we need your Super Bowl prediction. Who you taking, and why? God,
it's so tough. My heart doesn't want to go against Joe Burrow. My head has been saying Rams since the offseason. I'm going to go head over heart here, guys. It feels a lot like betting against Brady, but I got my money on the Rams.
And score?
Oh, God. 29.
What was that? You cut out for 1 second.
Let's say 32-29.
32-29. All right, we'll speak to you next week. I am Talbot Hurd here each and every week on Sports Talk New York. Today/BT Talks. We'll take a break. On the other side, we're going to speak football with Jay Retcher, so keep it tuned right here.
If you're a company looking to increase your visibility, to make sure your promotional materials get packaged in the most attractive way and distributed most efficiently, then you need to call in PIMS. Whether you're launching a new product and need to assemble customized influencer packages or looking for a more efficient way to manage your inventory and collateral, PIMS involvement helps maximize the impact of your brand's performance. For more than 30 years, PIMS has been helping companies get their message out to the right people, offering personalized distribution services and full-scale inventory management solutions. PIMS works its magic on 3 continents, backed by 350,000 square feet of warehouse space. If you're looking for experience, PIMS is it. They've shipped more than 13 million packages and elevated more than 8,000 brands. Want to know more? Check them out on the web, PIMSinc.com. That's PIMSINC.com, and read testimonials from their satisfied clients. That's PIMS, the first name in marketing support.
You can read it in the Sunday papers.
Mark, you know what that music means, don't you?
Yeah, but it's live in studio this time, too.
Well, it's in studio.
Oh, wow. All right, what do you got for us, AJ?
Oh, sorry.
I got to turn this music off.
Brett just had to wake me up. It was my morning nap time. No, so I figured I would do something.
We actually had to hold a mirror underneath to make sure you're still breathing.
I thought we'd do something Super Bowl-ish on Sunday
the
papers. And, there are a lot of fans who can go to SoFi Stadium today to watch the Super Bowl. If you can't make it to SoFi Stadium, just hang loose here. You'll soon be able to see SoFi Stadium at Legoland in California. Legoland, California is working on building a replica of SoFi Stadium. It's going to take more than 500,000 Lego bricks. We have 25 master builders working on the replica. It's going to be part of Legoland, Miniland USA. And, it's going to be 30 feet long, 15 feet wide, 4 feet tall, and we'll see who can, if somebody can punt the ball out of it. What I'm thinking of, you can take one of those players from, electric football and put them in there, and maybe you can take the little felt thing and see how high you could kick it or something like that.
I have to tell you guys a very funny story about Legoland. Okay, so
have you actually been to Legoland?
Not Legoland, but back in the day when we took the boys to a tournament in Disney, okay?
Yeah.
There was a Lego store that had a Lego man sitting on a Lego bench, and people would sit next to that Lego man.
Yeah.
Was that in Florida? Orlando, right?
Orlando. And they put their arm around the Lego man and they take a picture. I don't know if you remember the item we brought with us down for the 12-year-old boys, but it was a remote control fart machine.
Yes, I remember. Was that Florida? Or was that?
That was Disney. No, it was Disney. So what we did was we would put the fart machine underneath the Lego man, and we wait for unsuspecting tourists to sit down and ready to pose. And just as the person was about to take a picture, we'd press the remote control fart noise, and the Lego man would fart, and the faces on these people turning and looking at the Lego man.
They were 11-year-olds, and they weren't 12. 12 was Cooperstown. So the year before, they were 11-year-olds.
But like watching the tourists' faces was priceless. We should have had a video camera. That was fun. But,
this is insulting to the BT Talks listeners, a more sophisticated group perhaps than Sports Talk New York. How dare
Brett,
you?
So, Brett, how do you feel about the
electronic fart machines? I love them. They're great. It's the whoopee cushion of the 2000s.
We talked before we went on the air.
Yes.
You said you would like to see a Lego replica of Citi Field.
I would love to buy that for my son, who is a Lego master, and have him do it. He'll have it done in about 3 hours.
It's
even 500,000 pieces.
He did the Colosseum, the one in, they have one of the Colosseum from Rome. I have to tell you, and my son loves doing all this stuff. I can't imagine it's probably a computer now, but it wasn't always a computer. Who decides what pieces are going where?
It's a computer program.
But there wasn't always a computer program. Lego's been around since the 60s.
They used to have little gremlins in a room that actually built this and take notes.
So Josh actually downloaded a whole schematic, and he's got like a 4-foot high Super Mario that he built out of Legos. It's insane.
It's like $7,000.
Yeah, probably. It's time now for the Tapco NFL report with Jay Retcher. Even though it's snowing outside, it was 64 degrees yesterday.
Not here.
Spring will be here before you know it. Now it's time to get those windows and doors ready. Let the fresh air in and the bugs out with the Clearview retractable screen. The Clearview retractable screen comes standard with a lifetime warranty and the patented speed reducer, so it will not snap back. You get the luxury of a screen door and a sleek, low-profile design without the hassle of a bulky storm door or sliding screen door. Call 631-440-1100 for a free estimate at 631-440-1100 or visit them on the web at clearviewlongisland.com. All right, Jay, before we get to the Super Bowl, I just want to say it was great seeing you out in Las Vegas for the NHL All-Star Game. And it was very funny because the person I was with, we were walking around Vegas a lot, and it was interesting. We passed one hotel that had Donny Osmond in it. We passed another hotel that had Rich Little in it.
And you're talking that I'm old? Did you go back to this time?
Rich Little is still alive.
So we're walking. We see those two people, as headliners. And as we're walking, then we get a handout of like the strip club and prostitutes.
And that's where you went.
No, and I told my friend.
He had me at strip club.
I told my friend. I said, okay, so we know the NHL players are going to Donny Osmond and Rich Little, and we know where the NFL players are going. And obviously, I was right. I mean, we got the rest there with the NFL. It just never ceases to amaze. Evidently, what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. NFL, sometimes just shoots itself in the foot, and sometimes literally shoots itself in the foot on top of it.
Right.
That's hurtful.
But
hurtful.
yeah. So all right. So let's talk Super Bowl. This is obviously it's huge. We're not going to give away our picks yet. But what are some of the things you think people, the casual football fan who just turns into Super Bowl Sunday should be watching from these two teams today?
I think the big battle, guys, is going to, of course, be in the trenches. Is Cincinnati going to be able to block up front this dynamic Rams, front seven there? And with a guy like Aaron Donald, who many people believe has been the best player pretty much on the planet the last 10 years or so, this guy's a game wrecker. So the big thing is Cincinnati, who just a couple of weeks ago gave up 9 sacks. You don't want to be able to do that today when you have guys like Von Miller and Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd on the other side. And, you look at a guy like Joe Burrow, man, he's really taken the world by storm. A young kid, it's so crazy that he's gotten so, had so much success this early on in his career. And that's going to be the big thing, is keeping him upright. If the Cincinnati Bengals can keep him upright, then they'll stay in this game. But if he gets sacked early on, it might be a long night for Bengals and their fans.
I sort of agree with you, Jay. If you take a look at this, I mean, you've got Matt Stafford, who's the first time in 13 years. That's an investment. Where's Matt Stafford? He toiled with the Lions for years, and this is his big chance. Burrow's now in his second year in the league, national champion, number 1 draft pick. Does he not know enough? Is he too young to be afraid and realize the big stage?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, AJ. I mean, sometimes those younger players, because they don't really realize kind of the gravity of the situation, that may help them. But listen, this kid, I don't even know if that applies to him, because he's played in big games. I mean, this is a national champion, a Heisman Trophy winner. So it doesn't seem like anything phases this kid. It kind of reminds me of a quarterback that just kind of semi-announced his retirement. With Tom Brady. I know it might be a little bit too early, but it was the same thing with him. He was unflappable in that Patriots win over the greatest show on turf. And people said, no way that this kid can go out there and be able to score with Kurt Warner and this Rams offense. He went out there and they won that game on an out-of-bounds field goal. I'm looking at the same situation here. I mean, if you had to put your money on it, would it be Burrow or Stafford? I mean, a lot of people, I think, would say Burrow, and that's kind of crazy with him being so young and his only second year in the league.
I almost just killed AJ by hitting his head. Sorry about that.
Taking a look at the playoff games that got both teams there. I mean, the last week we had 4 of the most exciting games that you could ever hope for. And a lot of Super Bowls sometimes you think can be great, got teams ended up being letdowns. What do you think would have to happen for this game to be really great, and what potential you see of this game being a letdown?
I think what we're going to have to see is we're going to have to see a big game from Joe Mixon, the Cincinnati Bengals running back. And it's not so much just in the run game, it's in the short passing game too. Some of the best ways that they're going to have to slow down the Rams offense on the other side is kind of keep them off the field. Maybe put them behind. They've been playing out in front for the majority of these games. And Matthew Stafford hasn't reared his head from his days with Detroit where, hey, not many people know this, but he actually led the league in pick sixes this year in the regular season. So, and we've seen that Cincinnati Bengals defense come up with some opportunistic interceptions. So early on, if you see a heavy dose of Joe Mixon, you see a turnover or two for Matthew Stafford, I think this game could be nip-tuck pretty much the entire way.
You know, they do a lot of prop bets on the Super Bowl, all things. Here's a prop bet. What would you do in terms of does Odell Beckham Jr. make it to the game, or does his girlfriend go into labor?
Oh, he's playing no matter what. He's going to play, and I wouldn't even be surprised, guys, if you see Odell Beckham throw a pass in the game tonight because they like mixing it up a little bit.
All right, moment of truth, Jay. Your prediction.
I think it's going to be a tight one. I sure as heck hope it's going to be a tight one. But I got Rams 33, Bengals 30, and Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay get their moment in the sun.
All right. Jay Retcher heard here each and every week with the NFL Report. If you are listening to us on the apps, evidently there was some really strange stuff going on. The gremlins in the air. Maybe they didn't like us moving to 11 a.m. We'll try to work that out. But however, the full episode will be archived. We'll replay it during the week without the crossfade or whatever's going on. All right, so AJ, why don't you recap who our staff guys have picked?
Okay, so John Coppinger has Bengals 27, Rams 26. Russ Cohn has Rams 22, Bengals 13. Chaim Tauber has Rams 32, Bengals 29. And Jay Retcher has Rams 33, Bengals 30.
So only one person so far picked.
Only one person has Cincinnati.
All right, we're going to do our picks?
Yeah, why don't we do our picks and I can roll a commercial and get Glenn.
Okay, so go ahead, AJ.
Okay, I agree with most of our other correspondents. I think the Rams defense is what the key to the game. I think there'll be some scoring. When push comes to shove, I think they will come up big. I think Cooper Kupp is going to have a big game. I think there's a potential if he doesn't run to a hospital for labor and delivery. Of Beckham being the surprise big game. This one, as away from Kupp. I think I have Rams 31, Bengals 24.
All right, what do you got, Brett?
So I think I'm kind of the outlier. I don't see this as a close game, and I want to because I think we all want to sit and watch a close game. But I'm thinking this is one of the terrible games that, I'm sure that people want to hear it's going to be a terrible game, but I'm thinking Chargers, Niners. I'm thinking the Rams are going to run it up. I think the Rams are just a better team. And I think the Bengals have been on this miracle ride. I still don't know how they get out of Kansas City. There's no question about Burrow's talent and his ability, but I think he's going to have to wait another year or so. And by the way, the thought of him battling, Mahomes for all these, for the next several years is awesome. But I like the Rams. I like the Rams big. I'm going to say 42-17 Rams.
Okay, so I'm going back, and I might have tipped it a little bit when we're on the air and people are watching. Facially, when John said about the corrections. And if you remember when we were on the air and, we all said that, you can't count Tom Brady out. And, the Buccaneers were able to make corrections. And, it looked like the Rams were trying to give that game away. Fumbles, turnovers. They just seemed to melt.
That was an incredibly sloppy game.
And you take a look at, what was it? How many years ago when McVay was in the Super Bowl? Granted, he played a much better team.
But that team also melted down in the second half. Okay, you look conversely at what the Bengals were able to do against one of the best offenses. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the Rams, but when you have to, deal with Kelsey and Hill, and they made the adjustments and they controlled the second half and won, and Burrows doesn't turn the ball over. Stafford, to me, is a good quarterback, but the Bengals drafted guys that know how to win. This guy Burrows, he's not phased at all. It's just amazing how cool and calm and collected he is. Turnover, battle, I think the Bengals control that. And I think it always comes down to, in the Super Bowl, turnovers. I agree with Brett. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. I think it's going to be 34-21 Bengals. And I think that, Burrows completes this magical year, and I think he's going to be the MVP. And I'm going with a different ex-Giant to be a key in this game.
Don't tell me Eli Apple.
It's going to be Eli Apple.
By the way, how about Giant fans? Eli Apple and Beckham both in the Super Bowl.
How about all these ex-Jet coaches in the Super Bowl, too?
And by the way, I didn't realize that Raheem Morris was their offensive Hofstra.
Hofstra. Yep. So all right. So now let's recap. So there's only two people picking the Bengals. Me and Cop, right?
Right. Bookends. Cop first, you last. Everybody in between went for the Rams.
Everyone in between is correct.
And what's the point spreads of everybody? What's the max and the lowest?
Well, the max is Brett. Brett
I know, but I don't even like my pick now that I made it, because I think it's going to – I do think the Rams are going to win by a lot, but I think it's going to hit the under, because the Super Bowl rarely goes over. But we'll see.
Cop has a 1-point spread, 27-26. The thing is, I hate to say it, I want to knock our guys. They're experts in their sport. But if you take a look at what football scores are, 27-26 is an incredibly unlikely score, as is, sorry, Chaim, 32-29.
But you know what?
They must have those boxes. That's why
right.
But also, weird things happen in the Super Bowl. Right. Tom Brady throws a intentional grounding pass out of the end zone. There's almost always a safety or something weird happens.
And everyone says, oh, it's fixed.
Exactly.
We're going to take a quick break. And the other side, to round out the show, we're going to make sure everyone knows what they should be eating on Super Bowl Sunday. So, you're a brave man letting him come on our show.
No. He gets this morning. I know he hasn't had a chance to really liquor up yet.
But we might steal him from you.
Oh, listen. Good luck paying his salary.
All right. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, why don't you tell people who's
Food with Glenn coming up next.
All right. Keep it right here.
Decolator Cohen and DeFrisco, LLP, is pleased to introduce their website, policeofficersrighttosue.com, as an educational and informative site designed to instruct members of the law enforcement community of their civil rights in line-of-duty accidents. Many law enforcement members are not aware of their rights to sue and fail to bring lawsuits within a specific time frame, thereby forfeiting their ability to seek rightful compensation against those parties that cause officers to be injured. PoliceofficersRightToSue.com provides successful past results of line-of-duty lawsuits. These examples range from officers being provided with inadequate equipment, RMP accidents, slip and falls, and station house mishaps. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, they can contact DCD at policeofficersrighttosue.com or at 1-800-901-1LAW. That's policeofficersrighttosue.com or 1-800-901-1LAW.
BT Talks Food with Glenn is sponsored by Seasoned Bistro, Long Island's newest dining sensation. The seasonal American farm-to-table bistro in Glen Head on Long Island is the newest gem from Chef Joe Marchesota, an award-winning chef with more than 25 years of experience in some of New York City's best kitchens. For reservations, go to seasonedbistro.com. Tell Chef Joe that BT sent you.
As always, I'm pleased to be joined by travel expert Glenn Hausman. Glenn, how are you?
Bright Topel, I'm here, and I am sober. I am so sorry. I haven't been drinking, but I did hear that there was an expectation, so I made sure I drank a lot of coffee, so I'll still be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and Mark and I were talking a little bit off air, and I would say it was with Mark and AJ, but I looked to my left, and AJ's gone. I'm not sure where he is. Gone.
Glenn's coming on.
Yeah, Glenn's coming on. He got the heck out. No. So I was thinking about this, that by moving to mornings, Glenn, we have a different type of, You're going to be caffeinated, Glenn, instead of possibly, who knows what, Glenn.
Wait, you have to really pronounce what, because I thought you said he's going to be catheterized.
No. Glenn, we promise that's not going to happen.
Eventually it will.
But not today. Not today. In fact, that might be where AJ is right now. We don't even know where AJ is. All right, Glenn, listen, if I was planning a Super Bowl party and my Super Bowl party today is me and my puppy, but if I had people coming over or I just wanted to have some good stuff, what would you recommend?
Oh, I'll tell you, this is what we are doing today here at the Houseman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse, Snow Edition today.
Nice.
But we may not be having a lot of people over. My kids are having a couple of friends over. So I'm trying to stick with the basics. I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it fun. But more importantly, I want to make sure that we get every single thing covered when it comes to these things. So we're going to start off, I think, with you've got to have your chicken wings. Right, Brett?
But listen, I think wings have become a staple of Mark and AJ. Real quick, before Glenn says, how do you like your wings? You like them naked? You like them saucy? You like them baked? You like them fried?
Can I tell you another great wing story? So very quick.
Glenn hasn't even had a chance to talk yet.
But real quick, it's about wings. So we went on a 8-night trip. We were going to Toronto. We stopped at Buffalo with two guys who went, college near there, and they said, you have to go to this Buffalo place. And I'm not a big spicy guy. I'm not a big spicy guy. So the whole time, I just kept on, because we were in Buffalo, I just kept on coughing, going, right. So they ordered like the extra spicy, and I ordered mild, right? I'm eating, and I am sweating. And they're eating the super spicy like it's nothing. Waitress reversed the order. I got the super spicy. So I like mine mild. That's the quick answer.
I like two different kinds. I like chili
AJ's
lime.
back, by the way. AJ's back, by the way.
Yeah,
chili lime wings.
AJ, is everything okay, AJ?
Yeah.
Glenn, we come on with Glenn and you turn to my left, you're going.
That's it. So, I like chili lime wings. I also like the Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza with the
Those are good. Those are good.
Caramelized onions.
Hey, Glenn, I'm so happy I had you on for the segment. What do you think about wings?
All right, so I'll tell you, I like my wings two ways, but we got to start with the classic buffalo style, and I also do a Korean fried chicken wing, which is absolutely fun and fantastic. But the secret for really good chicken wings, guys, is you've got to put them in a dredge with all-purpose flour and cornstarch, and then you cook them at a lower temperature for a while, pull them out, let them sit for a bit, and then throw them in a second time at a higher temperature, more like a 375 as opposed to a 350. Get some good color on it, and they're ready to eat, and they're going to be super delicious, crispy. Then toss them in a bowl with your buffalo sauce. But if you do the Korean fried chicken wings, you're going to marinate it in some garlic and onion first, guys.
Nice.
So good.
What's your take on all the rage these days is the air fryer? Can you do wings effectively in the air fryer?
Well, you can. The air fryer is really good, but it's a different type of winging experience. The air fryer is a great marketing tool, but really what we're talking about is just pumping up some hot air.
It's convection oven, basically, with a different name.
Right. It's exactly what it is, with a fancy name and some good branding with a mesh shelf, right? So,
which, by the way, is a pain in the neck to clean if you had something with sauce on it. Just saying.
So there's nothing wrong with those types of wings, but you do have to know going in, it's not going to be like deep frying. Nothing is like deep frying. Deep frying is nearly enough for me to believe there's a God.
So for those of us who believe in nutrition, what other Super Bowl food do you see that doesn't involve things hardening the arteries?
No. First of all, that was not part of the deal, AJ. You weren't part of this one, Dad.
Yeah, not eating.
Isn't it, Glenn, isn't it true that on Super Bowl Sunday there are no calories?
That is true. It's the same as when you're on vacation. It's an extension of that. It was finally something Congress could agree on something.
So what are you going to be cooking while AJ's eating his celery sticks?
All right, so I'm also going to be doing some potato skins, which is a lot of fun. And that's simple. You just cook the potatoes. Just cook the potatoes for an hour, and then you slice them in half. You pull out the stuff. You spoon out the what's left inside, leaving that stuff. Then you put them in the broiler, and you get them that nice, real good color. And I'm going to do them, of course, with bacon and cheddar cheese and scallions and sour cream and the whole deal. But, Brett, one thing I love more than anything, especially 3, 4 in the morning, my love of White Castle, right?
Of course.
Or you can do those at home really, really super simply. believe it or not.
Well, you can do them really, really super simply because if you go to the freezer section and there's White Castle burgers right there, you can just microwave them.
That's disgusting, first of all.
No, that's disgusting.
Wait. This is a White Castle. I think this is
by very definition is disgusting.
Right, exactly. I think that's one of the things on the SAT. Bread is to butter as White Castle is to disgusting.
No. There's when you're talking disgusting, there's amazing disgusting. Like when you eat your own White Castles or going there at 3 a.m.
All right, talk about making your own.
Right. All right. So when you're making your own, it's great. You can find a great recipe at the Food Network to do this. But the long and the short of it is you just throw in some onion powder and a finely chopped some onion powder with some beef chuck and ground pepper and salt and that sort of stuff. And you're going to roll it out really thin. And then use one of the little buns that you're going to be using later on to kind of like measure it out. And then just kind of use a pizza cutter to kind of go over all the edges, make a grid. And then the real secret here, guys, is you get a chopstick and you poke 5 little holes in it, like a number 5 and a die of dice on each and every one of those. Throw it in the freezer for an hour. While you're doing that, you chop up some onions, sit them in water. Get that grill going at 350. Pour that onion thing on. Put all of the frozen burgers on top of it. Lay those little burger buns on it. Boom, boom, boom. It'll steam it up. And at the end, all you got to do is throw in your cheese and your pickle, and you are good to go with some homemade white.
And the game is over. The game is over by the time.
But you lost me because you said so this is a White Castle recipe, and you actually mentioned the word beef.
I just want everybody to know that as somebody who's maintained his Weight Watchers lifetime membership, I am mortified to have been part of this discussion.
Well, listen, you were gone for the first 10 minutes, but we thought you were going to be gone. We didn't even. By the way, AJ's already had 7 Prilosec as he's sitting here just thinking about these.
And I just want to say, I don't want to leave anyone out. We are serving baby carrots and celery with the potatoes, with the wings.
That sounds delicious.
But they are wrapped in bacon.
But they're wrapped in bacon and deep fried. And by the way, I will say this, and both of my children have gotten me hooked on this, but those Hawaiian sweet rolls, you could throw a burger. That's a nice thing to throw a burger on. The little ones.
Use those.
All right.
We have them for dessert.
Yeah, okay, a couple minutes. What do you, all right, so it's halftime or it's whatever.
And you're on the way to the hospital.
What is your wife nibbling as she's driving you to the emergency room?
She's like, dude, you made all this great stuff, but you forgot to make some sausage rolls. And I said, oh, no, I did not forget to make some sausage rolls.
Wait, that's your dessert?
Oh, yeah, man. That's it. Yeah, well, I've also got some brownies that we're making over here, which is...
it sounds like you've had some of the brownies so far this morning.
What's in those brownies to make them interesting?
Well,
we're in the morning now, AJ. You can't talk about it.
But it's illegal in New York.
I don't know. Yeah.
I've known Glenn a long time. Those are not just brownies.
And you also mentioned what's his wife nibbling at this point?
Okay.
That's the finger of her second husband.
I have to tell you, taking the show into the morning, it's a whole different vibe.
It's not the morning. It's Glenn.
It's like Glenn all the time.
It's Glenn, and that's why. You know why, Glenn? That's why you. And by the way, we only have a minute left, but I want everybody, because this has got hopefully Mark's listeners and some of my listeners. You won some very prestigious awards recently. To be serious, congratulations! You want to just tell us really quick what you won?
Thanks, bro. Yeah, so this International Hospitality Institute did their Global Hospitality Awards, and my No Vacancy Live podcast was named the #1 podcast in the entire industry, and I was named the #1 social media influencer in all of hospitality. And this other great organization promoting travel is going to be giving Anthony and I an award in May, and they're actually going to fly us down to Florida and Orlando and have a whole party and give us something. So how cool is that?
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I think so if you don't want stuff to be funny and you want to be educated about hospitality and business, No Vacancy Live is where we do not behave this way. No special brownies for me.
I believe he also won, Heart Association Man of the Year as well.
He won, and he also won, and this is a rather new award, the Amphibia Award. So. Glenn, listen, I'm so happy to tell you that next week it'll just be me and you. Have a great week. Enjoy all the snacks. And
one word warning, dude. I'm gonna be in Seattle, so it's gonna be super early in the morning, and I'm gonna be getting ready to catch a flight. So
yeah, just remember the brew and decaf now, okay?
Just remember that we've had Happy Drunken Glenn, we've had Morning Glenn, and this is going to be way hungover. I can't believe I'm doing this conversation with Brett Glenn. So look out for that next week.
Can't wait, my brother.
Awesome. All right, so everybody who tuned in and found us on the air at 11 a.m. in the morning, just be aware that Brett Topel, 10 a.m. next Sunday, new time slot. AJ and I, 11 a.m. AJ will be back in Florida. He's sort of shadow. He's going back to Florida for 6 more weeks. And we'll see everyone next week. Mike Capice will be back, and we'll see who was right. AJ, you got
I got it written down. I'm saving.
He's already packed up. He's ready to go.
He's ready to go. Wherever he was before.
He's the Phil Rizzuto of this show. He's halfway across the bridge.
Right. He's the rest runner. Right? All right.
Holy cow.
We'll see everyone next week. Have a great one. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy all the food that Glenn said. Do not make those homemade White Castle burgers. Please, I am begging you. We need all the listeners we can get. See everyone next week, everybody.